and a war with words, sorry, Scott, a war with words with Donald Trump is such a risky business that I cannot believe she has the bravery to engage in it, because even if she was right, she's still going to lose.
Is there an example of anyone beating Donald Trump at this game?
Never. This is his game, and he's great at it, and she's barking up a tree that she's going to fall on her really hard.
You know, it's interesting. He has some people who profess to be strong supporters who do oppose him more often than the people that you might not think are his strongest supporters. She's one of them. Thomas Massie in Kentucky is another one. Rand Paul, my home state senator, he takes on Trump, although they profess to be Trump supporters. In this case, I think he had the order out of order. I trace all this back to his decision, the righteous decision to strike Iran. She was against it. So were some of the people who occupy that wing of the party. He defied them. And since that time, they all seem to be stridently picking at him on this issue or that. And then, of course, everybody knows in Washington, Miles, you know, the fastest way to get in front of a television camera if you're a Republican is to come out and crap on Donald Trump. And so that is what she is doing. But, you know, Scott, that is what she is doing because she is mad at him over these issues, and that's what happened.
Scott, I trace
what happened.
Taylor Greene says her life could be in danger because of the rhetoric.
Her life is in danger? Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her. Okay.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the fallout that is currently happening between Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump. Now, if you guys didn't watch my first video on this, Spark Notes, President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene are not on good terms right now because Marjorie Taylor Greene has been speaking out against President Trump and his administration and a lot of the policies that he's currently implementing. Like, for example, she spoke out against the mass deportations because presumably being an owner of a construction company, she wants to continue to hire cheap labor under the table to do jobs that the American people can do. Okay, she spoke out against the president when he decided to bomb Iran. She was also actively undermining Republicans during the shutdown as Democrats tried to force Republicans to agree to $1.5 trillion in healthcare spending for illegal immigrants and to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Stuff like that is the reason why President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're currently falling out, right? They currently have issues, okay? And I want to cover this story again. I want to follow up because Marjorie Taylor Greene is once again on CNN, boohoo, whine, and crying victim, as if this is unique to her, as if President Trump has never openly criticized anybody, right? I mean, he has criticized Democrats, he's criticized Republicans, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is basically pretending as if what is happening to her is unique and that her life is in danger because the president is criticizing her in the same way that he criticizes anybody that he has disagreements with. Take a look.
I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country. And that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor. And that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason for this?
Unfortunately, it has all come down to the Epstein files, and that is shocking. And, you know, I stand with these women. I stand with rape victims. I stand with children who are in terrible sex abuse situations, and I stand with survivors of trafficking and those that are trapped in sex trafficking. And I will not apologize for that. I believe the country deserves transparency in these files, and I don't believe that rich, powerful people should be protected if they have done anything wrong. And so I'm standing with the women, and I will continue to do my small part to get the files released.
Yeah. So again, that is fascinating because she is basically saying that the president criticizing her the same way that he criticizes anybody else is a threat on her life, right? She's basically saying that in order to get him to stop criticizing her, right? Because she's mad that he unendorsed her. Now, she's trying to claim that this is about Epstein. Now, what I find to be fascinating about the whole Epstein stuff is, once again, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is participating in this Epstein crusade along with Democrats, has failed to produce a list, names, any kind of disclosure that the victims and herself strongly suggested that they would do as they demand that the government release the information they have. Again, the victims told the public that, hey, we're going to be compiling a list of names, suggesting that some type of disclosure may come because, again, the government is not producing the files. Marjorie Taylor Greene got on board with this.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law. And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
Absolutely nothing got done about it. And then you watch on social media, Mario, where people just sitting at home, like creating their own opinions in comments, were chastising these women and attacking them for not naming names. Well, the absurdity of that is just so ridiculous. If these women come out and give a list of names who raped them and abused them and were part of this process, maybe even from covering it up, whether it's drivers or maids or chefs or security guards or police officers, these women put themselves at risk of being sued on a mass scale. And so I've let them know, I said it publicly, I've let them know privately, if there comes a time where they are willing to put that list of names forward, I can do that in my capacity as a member of Congress. Because when I go on the House floor, and we have something called speech and debate. So as a member of Congress, I have a privilege called speech and debate where I can't get sued for making statements on the House floor. So I can come forward and say, this is the list of names I've been given, and I can read the list of names, and I can do that on behalf of the victims without getting sued. And so I offered that to them, as well as I'm going to continue to try to get as much information released as possible. I think that's the kind and compassionate thing to do. And if anyone gets falsely accused, you know what? They can come out and say, you know what? I was not a part of this. I denounce it. I want nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I think he's a monster. They can totally come out and say, I never wanted anything to do with this. But
she still has not produced that. But, you know, hey, she claims that she's in it for the victims. However, Scott Jennings on CNN has a different take, right? He says that, hey, this is really about politics. This is about the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to convince the president to support her running for Senate in Georgia against Jon Ossoff, and the president wasn't necessarily ready to get on board because of reality.
Technically true, based on what I've heard and what I know, that he didn't tell her not to run, but what she didn't say was that he sent her a poll privately, discreetly, and it had information in it, and it showed her down 20 points to Jon Ossoff. And so in politics, when you want to send a message to someone that you like or that has been an ally, you don't embarrass them publicly. You privately send them information and show them what the reality is. And so I think it's true that he didn't tell her not to run, but it's also true that he did her a big favor, which is to show her information that a candidacy statewide in Georgia for her would have been a disaster. I do think it started with that political engagement. When they sent her that poll, that's when you start to see everything change. She opposed the president on his Middle East policy, attacking the Houthi rebels, attacking Iran. She's opposed the president on deportations this summer. So she's sort of become a policy opponent of the president, but I think it really all started with that political engagement, and now she's one of his most frequent critics on some of what I would argue has been his biggest successes this year. And if you want to count yourself as an ally of the President of the United States, it's not great to go out and run out to The View and other places and crap on him 24 hours a day. I mean, that's essentially what she's become. It's a well-worn path. A lot of other Republicans who've turned on the president have done that too.
But there's a difference.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, I have no reason to not believe Scott Jennings. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of the infighting that you're seeing right now on the right is about power and control. The unfortunate reality is that the assassination of Charlie Kirk has created a vacuum, especially in the influencer space. And the infighting that you see right now are basically influencers trying to fill that void, right? Taking advantage of the fact that, hey, there's not really a top dog anymore, so to speak, right? And there needs to be somebody that comes in and is the new top dog. And I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the infighting. Now, me personally, I don't care about stuff like that. I'm a team player. Unfortunately, in politics, a lot of people are in it for their own power, their own fame, their own, self-aggrandizement, their own fortune. And when you have competing individuals, competing egos, this is what you get, right? You get stuff like this. So there's no reason for me not to believe Scott Jennings. There's been talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene wanting to run for a higher office, governor of Georgia, senator, and her being somebody that has been an ally of the president for a long time. You would expect that she would want the president's endorsement if/when she decides to run. The unfortunate reality for Marjorie Taylor Greene is that at the statewide level, she's probably not electable, right? Especially considering how Georgia, which is a red state, currently has 2 Democrat senators. 2 Democrat senators. That should be a state with 2 Republican senators, right? Like, let's be real. That should be a state with 2 Republican senators. And the reality is that the Republican Party at this point can't afford to run somebody who can't win, okay? And I think that is probably what happened when she approached the president about running and he gave her reality check. Somebody's feelings got hurt. And when your feelings get hurt, okay, and, you're not getting the support that you thought that you deserved or that you were owed, then stuff like this happens. And then, in the media, in public, they want to pretend like it's about everything except what it's really about, which is their own personal career, right? And what they're trying to do in order to accumulate more power. Now, to be fair to Marjorie Taylor Greene, she has denied this. And early this year, she said that she was not running for governor, that she's not going to run for Senate. But we're going to see, right? We're going to see if maybe that's something that she wants to do far into the future, right? I don't know, okay? But I'm just going based off what is being said right now. So, again, I don't dislike Marjorie Taylor Greene. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I just hate when people act like it's about stuff that is not. A vast majority of the infighting on the right is about their own power and control and egos. That's what it's about, okay? And that's the honest to God truth. Again, this is why I stay away from it, okay? So with that being said, this is also why I think it's pathetic that she's running to CNN, she's running to the mainstream liberal media, doing this thing where she's basically trying to pretend like she's some enlightened centrist, okay? Issuing a groveling apology for engaging in toxic political rhetoric, right? This is what she said on CNN.
Congresswoman, you posted on X that President Trump is, with his comments, fueling a, quote, hotbed of threats against you. Obviously, any threats to your safety are completely unacceptable. But we have seen these kinds of attacks or criticism from the president at other people. It's not new. And with respect, I haven't heard you speak out about it until it was directed at you.
Dana, I think that's fair criticism. And I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And it's been something I've thought about a lot, especially since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, is that I'm only responsible for myself and my own words and actions. And I am committed, and I've been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another, and we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people, because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yeah. And we need to be able to respect each other with our disagreements.
So just to put a button on this, you regret the things that you have said and posted in the past, the Facebook post that was taken down of you in 2020 holding a gun alongside the squad, encouraging people to go on the offense against the socialists, liking a tweet of somebody calling for the execution of Nancy Pelosi and former President Obama. Just examples.
Well, Dana, as you know, and many people know, I addressed that back in 2021. And of course, I never want to cause any harm or anything bad for anyone. So that was addressed back then, and I very much stand by my words I said then, and I stand by my words today. I think America needs to come together and end all the toxic, dangerous rhetoric and divide. And I'm leading the way with my own example, and I hope that President Trump can do the same.
You see that? You heard that. Okay. Politics, man. That's what this is. This is just politics. That's what it is. At the end of the day, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, wants to run for higher office. She knows that in order for her to have a chance of becoming a senator or running for governor of Georgia, she's going to have to move towards the middle. She knows that, okay, I have to rebrand as somebody that's more moderate leaning, and this is her attempt to do it, right? So she's distancing herself from the president on certain issues that she feels like, okay, this might not play well at the state level, right? In a state level election, I need to kind of make some changes. And that's what's happening here. This is why she's talking about, oh, you know, I apologize for my toxic political rhetoric. This is why she's moderating herself on illegal immigration, on some other issues. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is, again, just about politics. It's about positioning herself in a way that she may be able to run for higher office. I really do believe that, right? Let's cut past all the BS, right? All the politics. Let's be real, right? You want to run for higher office, and the president did not necessarily give you the support that you were looking for, at least initially speaking, and you're lashing out and you're trying to reposition yourself in a way that may maximize your chance of potentially running. I think that that's what she's doing. I think that's what she's doing. And again, the point of me doing this video is to, again, comment on, again, a lot of the drama, a lot of the infighting that's going on the right. And I'm just telling you my opinion on it, which is that it's not really about advancing the movement as much as about individual personalities and egos wanting to fill a void, right, that has been left in the conservative movement by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And it's really sad, because I think that in a world where we're dealing with the aftermath of a conservative activist like Charlie Kirk being assassinated, and then you have half of the country celebrating it, this is not the time to be infighting, right? This is not the time to be going at each other and tearing down a movement. This is the time where we should put our differences aside and say, hey, you know, we may disagree on an issue or two here, but for the most part, we agree with each other more on the core issues. And we got to understand that the real enemy, right, are the people that, again, would celebrate the death of Charlie Kirk, right? Are the people that are trying to push this country towards socialism, okay? I mean, you have the Zoran Mandamis of the world. You have, you know, socialists being elected left and right. The Democrat Party is falling to socialists. So that's what we should be more concerned about. We should be concerned about making sure that the freaks and lunatics on the left don't get elected, because we already know what the result of that is, right? We already know what we're going to get if that happens. And again, like I said, it's just sad, because as somebody who I consider myself to be a team player, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just want to focus on continuing to win and to make sure that Democrats and these socialists don't take power and control. And I think this right-wing infighting is not helping that. It's not helping what the goal should be. And it's not to help the movement get stronger. It's actually to tear down a movement for individual gain. And that's the part about it I really don't like. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.